everyone, I'm your host Suthipriya Chakravarti from 10 IGCSE. In this episode of Alumni Connect series, I am excited to have a conversation with none other than Shraddha Praveen, who has accomplished an extraordinary feat of achieving a perfect score of 45 out of 45 in the recently declared IBDP 2023 exam results, securing her place amongst the IB world toppers. Shraddha's academic prowess has been evident throughout her journey, as she has consistently excelled in her studies and been the recipient of the school's annual awards every year since grade 6. Her commitment to academic excellence shines through her achievements in the grade 10 CBSE exams, from where she successfully transitioned to the demanding IB curriculum and emerged as a world topper. Her accomplishments go far beyond academics, and she personifies the essence of a well-rounded individual, leaving her mark in various domains. From actively participating in school events to displaying exemplary leadership skills through her roles in school clubs, and even pursuing her passion for hosting podcasts, much like this one, Shraddha epitomizes holistic excellence. Today, we will explore the experiences that have shaped her, discover her aspirations for the future, and gain valuable insights from her exceptional achievements. Without further ado, let's begin. Welcome to the show, Shraddha. We would like to congratulate you on your fantastic results.
Thank you. It's a very flattering introduction, so thank you very much.
I would like to begin by asking, how does it feel to achieve the distinction of being an IB world topper, especially given the dip in the scores this year?
I mean, it's obviously a great feeling. I know it's an achievement to be really proud of, and I certainly am. But also it's been a really tough year. I think this year IB, our entire batch, honestly, our expectations were framed within the context of the last 2 years where results were so marvelous. So it was definitely a bit shocking when results got back this year, and obviously there was a dip, like you said. So it's a bit of a bittersweet moment because I'm so grateful for my results, but also I think a lot of my friends were so deserving, and it's sad to see that they didn't get to where they wanted to.
I'm sure our listeners would love to hear how you achieved such an amazing result. Do you have any techniques or strategies that you used?
I mean, there's certainly techniques that I wish I'd implemented to a greater degree, and I think the main thing to know about IB is that consistency is key, cliche as it sounds. I definitely wish I'd been more consistent with my studies, and ultimately it worked out for me because I think at the end I picked up the habit of dedicating time every day to studying. But IB is really doable if you sort of just fraction your time out well, and so that's the best advice I could give anyone, is to just be consistent in their work.
So why did you decide to transition from CBSE to IBDP, especially considering the exceptional scores you received in your CBSE grade 10 boards?
Yeah, so it was definitely a difficult decision to take, and there are pros and cons. Obviously, the practical aspect of it was that IB seemed to be sort of more internationally recognized. So when doing your university research, that was something for me to consider. But also, I really liked that IB let me choose my own subjects and explore all these different, fields and areas of study that I couldn't through CBSE, because in CB you have to pick a stream, either commerce or science, or so on. But I was equally interested in both the STEM and humanities. So for me, being able to reconcile those interests was definitely a major advantage in IB.
The IBDP curriculum is known for its emphasis on critical thinking and independent research. So how has this approach to learning shaped your academic experience?
Obviously, I think it's actually equipped me really well for my future academic endeavors. I feel like I'm well prepared to take on a lot of academic writing and vigorous research work in university. So I definitely appreciate, that IB gave me those critical thinking skills. I obviously had to implement them, in pursuing just my internal assessments and my extended essay and everything. But it definitely is sort of, I think, furthered me as an individual, and I feel a lot more confident approaching university because of having done the IB.
Okay. And it sounds like a lot of hard work. So what kept you motivated to prepare for all the internal assessments and exams that IBDP has to offer?
I think the internal assessments, to me, it seemed like a really easy way to sort of up my grade, because it was something that happened, as you progress through IB. So I could take my time to really refine my work and make sure I was putting my best foot forward. And obviously, in retrospect, now I realize how much that actually helped my board scores. So I think that's definitely something students should work on, is perfecting their IAs. And as for boards themselves, at that point I had received university offers and everything. So I think having to meet that condition served as a very clear sort of end point that I needed to reach. And also, I guess, just the idea of having nothing to do once I was done with the IB. Yeah.
As part of the post-pandemic batch, you have experienced hybrid learning, where you had to transition from virtual classrooms to in-person learning. How did the teachers at GIIS help make this transition seamless for you? And did you have any difficulty making this shift?
I mean, yeah, so for our batch, it was a bit weird in the sense that we started off in person, and then there was this weird phase where, you know, it was online, and then it was half online and half in person. So as a student, I think obviously paying attention and following along the syllabus was probably the hardest thing to do. But I mean, I imagine it must have been much worse for the teachers, especially having to handle both, you know, people being in class as well as online. Ultimately, though, I mean, I had no choice but to study everything for my exams, so it worked out. But yeah, it was definitely a difficult time for everyone.
At GIIS, we are fortunate enough to have exceptional teachers and faculty members who tried their hardest to make this transition as smooth for us as possible. So could you shed some more light on the role played by the teachers in your experience here?
I mean, yeah, I think teachers play obviously one of the most important roles in shaping you as a student. And I always found, you know, not just now, but throughout my academic life, that I always gravitated towards the subjects where the teachers themselves seemed, you know, most passionate and most willing to sort of learn and also teach the students. So I think definitely, for example, my math teacher, Mr. Liang in the IB, shout out Mr. Liang, he was awesome. He was so passionate, and he made all of us feel so enthusiastic to learn. And obviously I have to credit Deepa ma'am for being truly the most incredible coordinator. I mean, she's been so supportive throughout any experience that any student has had, and you know, I'm sure my entire batch, you know, echoes the same opinion as I do. So I think those are two teachers especially that I really, you know, I feel I owe a lot to. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you really cared about your teachers and about the subjects that you learned over here. But apart from that, at our school, students have many chances to grow beyond academics, and you truly embrace the spirit by enthusiastically getting involved in different events and initiatives. Whether it's being the leader of the astronomy club, or serving as a deputy house captain, or representing the school on our basketball team, or even contributing to social causes like the Red Lotus, you exemplify the school's commitment towards holistic growth. Could you please tell us a bit more about these passions of yours?
Sure, yeah. So I don't think it's necessarily an individual passion I had for, say, you know, pursuing basketball or, you know, within astronomy and physics, but more so that I just really loved the idea of being able to create experiences for other people and being able to connect to other people through these experiences. So, you know, any opportunity that I found where I could maybe meet somebody new or learn something new, I took on, which is why my extracurricular achievements are sort of all over the place. It's because I think I was just really eager to learn everything. And I definitely think GIS provides a lot of opportunities for that, especially like from a very young age. It allows students to explore different interests. So that's something I definitely appreciate about the school.
I'm sure you must have had your hands full with all these extracurricular activities. So how did you manage to balance them with your academics?
I think within the IB, like the first year when I had sort of all of the clubs with all the rage and everything, it wasn't so intense. Like it was still okay to balance everything. I think it became most difficult when in sort of the start of IB or 2, I had to do my internships and mainly college application related things. So at that point, I just sort of looked at all of the deadlines I had, laid them out on a calendar, and just made a list of priorities that I had, which definitely helped. So yeah, I would just say just prioritize, and you know, it works out pretty okay.
Well, I'm sure that anyone who is watching this would be very glad to hear this piece of advice. A lot of us have some difficulty implementing this. Guilty. So what are your future plans? I've heard that you already have some university offers. Which ones are you leaning towards right now, and why?
Yeah, so after I've graduated now, and this fall I'll be reading economics and management at the University of Oxford. So,
oh wow.
Yeah.
Could you share your experience and journey throughout the application process? And is there any advice you'd like to give anyone who wants to apply to the same kind of universities you applied to?
Sure, yeah. So I applied to both the US and the UK, which have very different admissions processes. So one is definitely more personality focused, and it's not really very academic. It's more focused on your extracurriculars, your passions, things like that. While UK is definitely more hyper-focused on academics, so it's all about the subject you're passionate about and really zeroing in on that. And personally, I found UK to be a lot more straightforward because, I don't know, it required less, I guess, self-introspection. UK, for me at least, for example, for applying to Oxford was, you know, I submit my application, I write a personal statement with my recommendations, then I give an admissions test. then I get called for an interview, then I get the offer, then I meet the offer. So it's very a streamlined process. But something I've realized is that US universities are really fickle. They don't even know what they're looking for. So, you know, if there's any advice that I have to give to juniors, it would be just sort of research different universities. Don't be scared if you don't know what you want to do, because I didn't until maybe like 3 months before I was applying. And just don't put so much pressure on yourself to, I don't know, emerge at the most prestigious or the top university. It's all about going somewhere you love and just studying something you're passionate about. And honestly, I would recommend maybe avoiding applying to both the US and the UK, because it's really overwhelming when you already have academic stuff to do. So if you know what you want to do for sure, then a place like UK might be better for you, because you know you just pursue the course that you're applying for. Versus the US, you get to, once you get to university as well, you don't actually declare a major until I think 2 years in. So I could, you know, get in for doing computer science maybe, and I can take like a gender studies class and emerge as a history major. So you know, they're just very different countries, and yeah. So if there's one thing I would say, you know, just figure out what kind of an academic environment you're looking for and apply accordingly. But yeah, just really don't put too much pressure on yourself, and you know, enjoy your life even while you're applying. Yeah.
Okay, well, it seems like you were really able to keep your academic life and your extracurriculars balanced. So what were some extracurriculars that you participated in while you were in the school?
So I was, you know, in terms of sports, I was in the basketball team for a couple of years, and also I was the deputy house captain for Orchid. So that entailed organizing a lot of different sports events. And then of course there's podcasts like you mentioned, and also, I mean, the MUN circuit, which you told me that you were interested in as well. And I think that is really, it's a fun extracurricular because it also is so memorable. And so it was really natural transition for me to, you know, get in as a delegate, then go to chair, and then organize as well. So, you know, I would actually recommend that everyone at least try out MUN once, even if you're not up to, you know, all of the debating and everything. You get a free couple of donuts and a nice socials night, and you'll come out of it with some friends. So yeah. Yeah,
our school's MUN was actually just this weekend, and I was there and I really enjoyed it. Despite my hands hurting from the table tapping and my throat hurting from the screaming, it was a very fun experience.
All signs of a great, memorable event, I think. Yeah.
As you prepare to embark on your further education journey, what are you most excited about?
I mean, there's so much to look forward to, right? There's the appeal of going far away from home. I'm just joking. But it's just the idea of living in a new country and having all of these new experiences. I think within Singapore, we're living within our own bubble. So I'm really excited to go see what a different country has to offer. And of course, studying at such an amazing institution, being able to talk to professors of that pedigree, I'm looking forward to everything, in essence. Yeah.
Thank you. Those were some incredible insights into your journey. Thank you so much for sharing with us, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Wonderful questions you asked. So.
Now let's have some fun with a quick Q&A session. So you could pick some questions from this hat, and would you just like to answer them for everyone who's looking at this?
Sure. A very cute setup here. All right. Look, should I shuffle them around?
Sure.
Okay. All right, let me pick one. Oh, no. I got a couple. Hold on. All right, hold on to this. Okay, well, the question says, share a story about a memorable friendship or relationship you formed during your time at Smart Campus. I mean, it is so hard, honestly, to pick one. I think IB especially is a time where you really, really bond with your entire batch. So there have been times where we've all gone out, and especially I think the December of IB02 was one of the best weeks, because it's when you finish up all your work, there's not really any classes, so everyone is up to no good. We're all doing the most ridiculous stuff, but you know, it's such a core memory. It's something I'm really gonna remember for a long time.
Yeah, it's the one thing that I love a lot about GIIS is that it's so easy to make friends. Like, it's such a large school, so you don't think that you'd be able to make those many close connections, but really it's such a tight-knit community. It's amazing.
Absolutely. All right, next one. Do you want to pick one out for me? You can pick
Sure.
one answer. Okay. Share your favorite tradition or event that you participated in during your time at GIIS. That's a tough question. Tradition or event? I mean, I think event would have to be GIIS SMART, or really just the entire MUN circuit, because like I said, it's so much fun. Tradition-wise, I'm trying to think of one. Oh, I guess probably just like going in SSPs to play in the field when we were not allowed to, which I don't officially endorse, but covertly encourage. Yeah.
Okay. And who is your inspiration?
Who is my inspiration? I don't think I can attribute all of my inspiration to like one particular person. I think obviously people around me, my friends, they all inspire me in so many different ways, from their passion to how hardworking they are or how supportive and kind they are. And then obviously I have like my cliche general inspirations in terms of like different musicians and different leaders, things like that. Yeah.
Yes, I heard that while you were here and you were doing the podcast, you were able to interview Mr. Balasubramaniam. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that experience.
Oh, it was honestly an incredible experience. It was, I think, the first podcast I'd done, so I was obviously a bit nervous. And, compounding that pressure was the fact that my mom was a huge fan. She was truly jumping with joy when she found out that I was going to interview him. So I was really nervous going into it. And also, he's such a revered figure. I've grown up listening to his music. So to see him in person and then watch what an incredibly humble, so talented yet so humble a person he was, and it was just mesmerizing. I was totally starstruck, probably for the first time in my life, but he made me feel so comfortable, and I think I really felt like I could do more podcasts and more interviews and things like that because of that starting experience.
Okay, and final question. Name one thing you will miss the most about GIIS and Singapore.
About GIIS, probably my friends and the end of IB. Like truly that is such a special time because even though you're so riddled with all of this academic pressure and your deadlines, you find time to really bond with your friends. And I think that's when everyone gets closer than they've ever been in their lives. And Singapore, there's so many things to miss. I mean, practically the safety of it is something I'm gonna miss and how accessible it is. But also there's such rich culture here. I'm gonna miss, getting mala with my friends and riding the bus to Siloso Beach. So all sorts of fun traditions, yeah.
Thank you, Shraddha, for taking the time to speak with us. It was a really inspiring experience to be able to talk to you, and just thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and for being such a wonderful host.
Well, until next time, this is Priya Chakravarti signing off.